See, my entire life, I was punching people in the face as a nightclub bouncer. I had no sales or automation skills, so I had to throw myself in the field to gain some experience. And I did. I went down the freelancing rabbit hole and I got banned on Upwork with over $2,000 frozen. So here's a video of the old days.
As you can see, this is pretty high ROI. Using personalization, using AI, I use GPT-4 to generate me icebreakers, which makes email copywriting extremely personalized. So essentially, you could be selling ice to Eskimos and still make sense, right? So
Looking back at this, I take 100% full accountability because I was betting my entire income and life in general on a platform, basically a borrowed land. So I had to let go of that identity and create a new one, an identity that owns their pipeline, owns their client acquisition. So I went all in and I started my own self-esteem agency and I grew it to 105K a month. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to save you all the blood, sweat, and tears by giving you 4 core fundamentals that every freelancer or automation builder needs to know to grow their own sales automation agency to 105K a month. So without taking too much of your time, let's just go ahead and get started.
So the first fundamental that we're going to talk about, and this one is really important. Client acquisition is a full-time job, even if you have clients. Okay? So you have to understand that everyone, no matter the level they're at, is doing some sort of outreach. Okay? So client acquisition never ever stops. It just evolves. Okay? So it doesn't matter if someone is still trying to land their first client or making 5K a month or making 10K a month, hell, even if they are running 100 million agency, they're always doing outreach. Okay? So outreach is the engine. It's how deals happen. It's how relationships start. It's how you build momentum. Okay, so now let's say you've managed to get your first client. Congrats. Well, I know you're doing this thing that I know you're aware of, right? And I used to do this myself. And it's a really silly mistake that most freelancers and people who want to make a ton of money usually do, is that they get their first client, right? They get their first client and they focus their entire time on fulfillment, which is a huge mistake. And they forget about the main thing that got them the client in the first place. So by the time the project wraps, they're back at 0. Okay? No pipeline, no clients, just anxiety. Okay? So the perfect example of this is like having a lemonade stand. Okay? You get one customer, you start making their lemonade, and while you're mixing and pouring, you forget to wave at other people walking by. Okay? So if you forget to say, hey, do you want lemonade too? And guess what? When your first customer leaves, there's no one else in the line. So that's exactly what happens to people who stop client acquisition or outreach, okay? So client work, yes, it is important, but this is like, I need to like actually like make this a little bit bigger. But new client acquisition is like oxygen. If you stop doing it, you will slowly suffocate your business. And I've done it before, and trust me, it's not a good thing. Okay, it's not an ideal place to be at. The next thing that I want to talk about is AI and automation are just force multipliers, but only if you're selling the right thing. Okay. And a prime example of that, let's take someone who is generous, right? When they are generous, even if they don't have, money, they are still generous. So when they make money, their generosity just amplified. Okay. So in talking with many beginners, freelancers, and even people who have been doing this for a while, they just try to be builders who try to build everything. Now, this is a big mistake, okay? So what they do is they try to think tech will solve everything. And that's something I used to think too myself, okay? So I would build workflows, bots, automations that look cool from the outside, but have no tangible value, okay? So you need to understand that AI is just a force multiplier. And if you're selling the wrong thing, it'll just make you fail faster. And if you're selling the right thing, it'll let you scale like crazy. Okay? So if you're wondering what people mean when they say scale, it just means I do something that works and I do it like 100 times more. It's literally what scale is. It's just literally volume. Okay? That's exactly what scale is. It's not some fancy way of like doing things. Okay? So my advice here for you is you don't need more tools. You need more buyers, okay? You don't need a sexy offer. You need one that solves a pain that most people, businesses, everyone and their grandma already care about. And it just so happens that sales automations and AI or automation in general just solves that. We need more clients. Okay? So this is why sales systems and lead gen systems in general will never go out of style. Okay? I always say this. It's kind of like a restaurant. Like people always want food. In our case, businesses always need food, right? Which is customers and clients. Okay? So that's the only thing that you should sell. You need to solve the problem that pays. Okay? So I'm assuming you're in business to make money. So you need to solve something that actually makes you money. Okay? It's just logical. So you need to solve the problem that never disappears. And once you solve that, then multiply it with AI and automation. The third thing that I want to talk about, and this one is actually pretty interesting, and it is you're not burnt out. You just stopped getting new clients. So again, we always go back to the same thing over and over again, which is clients, right? Clients. And trust me, don't worry. I used to think I was burned out too. I thought maybe I was working too many hours. Maybe I needed more rest. Maybe I needed to meditate, go on a retreat, journal. And while all of these are going to be conducive to your well-being and how you basically do business, I simply wasn't winning, right? So burnout feels like an exhaustion, but it's really the emotional way to stagnation. That's like the best way to explain it. It's usually working hard and seeing nothing change, or checking your inbox and feeling like the word forgot you exist, okay? So the truth is, burnout only comes when you're losing. You're never burned out when you are winning. Okay? Like really think about it. Take 5 minutes and remember last time you felt burned out. You probably were just confused that it's not working. So that's the lack of the right information. Okay? And to just give you like a warm hug, don't worry, even huge companies experience a similar state. You always need to think ahead, which is why I would always recommend you guys need to implement second and third order consequences thinking. Okay? And the prime example for that is actually Amazon. So in those interviews, if you guys don't know, Jeff Bezos is the founder of Amazon. So in those interviews, they would ask him, Jeff, oh, the revenue of Amazon is absolutely crazy and nuts. Like you must whatever you are doing currently, it must be working. And Jeff Bezos would just smile to the camera and say thank you, right? And they don't know that inside of his mind, he wants to say that the results that Amazon was actually getting around that time were months and months of efforts, right? Because you need to understand that it takes time. It takes time for results to come in. And I always remind myself that everything, like every result, every success that I'm currently experiencing is the results of the efforts that I've put in like months ago, okay? So you need to understand this, right? So this is called the second and third order consequences, okay? And let me just give you another example. Let's take, for example, someone who has a successful business, okay? Let's say they are making like 40K a month or like 80K a month, whatever their income is. They're successful, okay? So imagine one day they're like, okay, I am successful. I want to go back and play some video games. Okay. It's just an example. So they buy like PS5, whatever, Xbox or something, whatever. And they start playing. Okay. So the first week, they're not going to notice any difference, but months down the line, okay, like it's called death by 1,000 cuts. Okay. So they're slowly going to mess up their dopamine levels. Okay, so if their dopamine levels now are messed up, now they can't focus properly. Okay, if they can't focus properly, well, it's gonna basically snowball and it's gonna affect their work performance. And now their business is not gonna be the same. Well, if their business is not gonna be the same, well, it's gonna impact their relationship. Maybe now they are making less money. And after some time, if they're making less money, their business is going to go downhill. Now, if their business is going downhill, now they can't pay the bills. Well, now they can't take care of people that they love. Now, maybe, I don't know, like their wife divorces them or like something like, I don't know. You get the point, right? So we need to understand that every action has a reaction, but people forget that every action has another reaction and another reaction has another reaction and so on. So you always need to think one step ahead and prepare for what comes next to avoid death by 1,000 cuts. The fourth thing that I want to talk about, and this is really, really important, right? You can't automate your way out of sales. And this one is really, really painful, especially if you're an introvert, okay? So I was talking to this community member, okay? And he's a really great guy, respectful, and amazing at building workflows. But he had no idea how to put himself out there and actually sell. Because at the end of the day, we're in business to make money, right? And I'm assuming that you're watching this because you want to make money as well, okay? And you want to have a better life, enjoy the status that comes with it. This is normal, okay? This is ingrained with our human nature. And don't ever, don't ever listen to someone who tells you, oh, why do you want to make so much money? These are people we do not want to deal with anyway, okay? So just forget about them. So I was talking to him and he said, I'm just afraid of sales, which is totally reasonable, okay? Like, I was never good at sales when I first got started, and no one was. Like, nobody is good at something, right? Like, as soon as they start doing that thing, okay? Nobody is better than you. They've just been doing it longer, okay? So I said, okay, well, why don't you want to do that? And he said, because sales feels scary. What if they say no? What if I sound cringe? What if I fail, right? But here's the cold hard truth, guys, okay? The pain of staying the same has to hurt more than the fear of doing sales, okay? Staying stuck is scarier, okay? Every day you avoid sales, you're not making the money you want. You're still relying on luck instead of control. You're still watching others grow while you hesitate. And you simply want to achieve freedom, okay? This is like the bottom line. You want to achieve freedom, whether it's financial or location, whatever you want, okay? Because you're avoiding the one thing that actually creates it, which is sales. So final thoughts, and I'm just going to quote one of the best investors and thinkers of all time, Charlie Munger, where he said, take a simple idea and take it seriously, okay? Don't overcomplicate things. Don't jump from tool to tool, offer to offer, niche to niche. You need to go deep enough on one thing to actually win. And it's essentially what I've done, okay? So I noticed a pattern. All my gigs were lead gen on Upwork. Then I realized that it's a painfully simple problem, like helping businesses get more clients. It's pretty straightforward, right? Everyone knows this. Then I solved it in a direct way with sales systems that get conversations started. Again, super simple. Then I took that one idea seriously. That means building around it and relentlessly putting it in front of more people every single day. And more people, I mean prospects, ideal customers, leads, etc. So my advice here for you is pick a painful, expensive problem, solve it, and automate how you find people with that problem. Track your results, then repeat, and I'll see you at the top.
So if you're serious about building a real income, not just playing with shiny tools and obsessing over things that don't move the needle, then you need to implement all of these core fundamentals that I just showed you. And if you do, you start seeing results in as little as 30 days. So get out there, take action. I believe in you. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.